Daily. With me now are Daniel Grech from Malta Public Transport and AI researcher Alexiei Dingli. Thank you very much for being on Lovin Daily with us today for this discussion on new solutions in public transport, a very topical discussion at the moment. So let's start with you, Daniel. Over the past few years, Malta has seen an incredible increase in the range of options when traveling across Malta, private and public options, buses, taxis. Was this always part of your plan?
Indeed, yes. There has been an explosion in the number of options in transport, both private and public. We are part of that. I think it has always been in the plan of various governments over the years, where there was a full liberalization of the market some years ago, which then led in turn to attracting new private operators in the sector, including Malta Public Transport ourselves. We are a private operator. But also various cab companies, transport sharing. Even until yesterday, a couple of days ago, there has been also the launch of a fast ferry service between Malta and Gozo. So this is all part of the full liberalization of the transport industry in Malta.
In fact, nowadays, as you mentioned, you can actually catch a Tallinnja bike, right, and use it to board the fast ferry, land, and then either walk and then park your bike there, and then walk or carpool to work. This is all without even you touching a private car. So how important is this type of interconnectivity when it comes to providing options to people, alternative options to people besides the private car?
I think it's essential. It's very important because there isn't one single mode of transport which would probably hit all the needs of every single person, and offering all these options and the interconnectivity between them is key to getting people to stop using their car and to switch to other modes of transport. They might not necessarily drop their car forever or for every type of transport, but at least there could be other trips which they would need to do where one of these other options that we're saying, the public transport options, or a bicycle or a ferry, might be more convenient than the private car itself. So just before here, we're speaking, myself and Alexiei, for example, going to Valletta. Doesn't even make any sense to use any other option except the bus. A couple of days ago, the fast ferry business was launched. And as you said, so you can get a Tallinnja bike from one of the stations around Valletta, drop it off very close to the ferry, go on the ferry and get another bike from Imjar and Gozo. And it's an electric bike, so there's very little effort, and cycle all the way up to Rabat. So there are all these options which offer the last mile solution, which connect different villages and towns, which are very important to passengers and to the individuals when planning out their journeys.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of these travel options can also be booked or pre-booked online as well through your phone. So how important is it for it to be easy and user-friendly for people to move to these alternative modes of transport?
Again, it's extremely important. And the mobile phone, the smartphone, today became a tool which we can't live without. There's an app for everything, and the same thing goes with the transportation. So having the convenience of predicting your travel by booking it on an app, making sure that you have the peace of mind that you can find a vehicle wherever you are, of being in a position to drop off that vehicle, whether it's a bike, whether it's a car sharing service, for example, knowing that you can drop it off somewhere. So all these are very important things. For example, I mentioned again the fast ferry. We have just integrated the Tallinnja card payment system with both fast ferry operators, where one can book their ticket and then pay with their Tallinnja card. Which is very important, because besides booking their day and time when they would like to travel and return, They also can pay with this payment system, the Tallinnja card, which is integrated with so many different modes of transport as well. We have also integrated it with the lift, for example, the Baracca lift. So again, I can these couple of days I drove to Valletta, but I stopped in a car park, and then I walked. I went down with the lift. I paid with my card, went to the ferry, paid again with my card, went to Gozo and back. So different modes of transport, interlinked in this case with the Talinia card as a payment system. But going back to your question as well, with the possibility to book from my phone, and also having that peace of mind that I have a seat on the ferry itself, for example.
So Alexiei, recently we saw Malta Public Transport launch the autonomous bus concept. It seems like something a bit futuristic, but it's something that's happening right now. So without getting ahead of ourselves, like how realistic is this for Malta, and what will it mean exactly?
Okay, Tim. So first of all, let's not forget that autonomous vehicles is something which is already operating in quite a number of states in the United States. So even though we might think about it as something futuristic, really and truly the technology is here and it works fine. So I think it's more a matter of trust until people can trust that you're in a car now and there is no driver in that car. Of course, it's much more convenient because now the car is optimized. It can track by GPS, check the location of where it's going, know where there is traffic, know if there's an accident a priori, and of course take alternative routes. So the amount of convenience which such a vehicle would give us is something unbelievable. But as I said, I think we have to go now for that culture change. Are we going to trust a driverless bus? And if yes, that will usher new things, because of course the next step would be the self-driving cars. And when it comes to self-driving cars, it's a transportation revolution, because now the concept of a car is changing completely. Imagine when you're driving to work with your self-driving car, all right? Probably it won't be even yours. So you just summon that self-driving car, it's come for you behind the door and takes you to your place of work. But think about it, you don't even have to look at the front. No, you can have a meeting in the car. Maybe there's a round table inside the car and you can have meetings with other people. Maybe you can enjoy yourself, play PlayStation or do some work while you're commuting. So the notion of commuting is going to change totally in the coming years because of these technologies.
And what about the people who are concerned that this will just lead to more accidents on the road? Like, is it possible like that technology is at a state where it can even be more, they can actually be better drivers than people?
Okay, so first of all, I tell these people that they shouldn't travel by air. Okay, because if you take aeroplanes, 90% of the flight is in the hands of the autopilot. Okay, but people do not realize it because they know there's a pilot and they're reassured that there's a person there. But really and truly, most of the flight is happening because of the autopilot. And today there's also auto landing as well. So not even the pilot is landing the airplanes. Now, apart from that, I mean, when we go back to cars, self-driving cars especially, are extremely safe. And even though there have been some accidents, but when you compare, the amount of accidents which happened with these cars comparing to what happens normally in a daily life, I mean, remember, most of these accidents happen because of human error. So if we are eliminating most of this human error, then most probably it's much more safer than a normal driver. And if you consider that self-driving cars today have a comprehensive driving experience of 60 years of continuous driving. So none of us can reach that. At most we can drive for 3 years continuously in our lifetime. But these cars collate information from all the other cars. So they're constantly learning. So the amount of safety and cases which they meet on a daily basis is increasing. And of course, personally I think they're much safer.
And besides the self-driving cars, what are some of the other potential applications of AI in improving transport in Malta?
Okay, there are lots. First of all, I mentioned the planes because they're already in use, but people do not realize there's the self-driving cars. Another important aspect is drone delivery. So, when it comes to logistics, carrying of goods, for example, or messages or whatever, drones will become very popular, not just in Malta, but all over the world. And in fact, one of the new jobs which we believe that this technology will be creating is the drone controller, sort of the traffic controller of drones. Because imagine the future, and not so distant future, because I know that even in Malta they're testing these kind of drones, will be that if I want to send you a parcel or a letter or whatever, I can send it via drone and you receive it almost immediately. Apart from that, then there are,
Instead of a postman.
Instead of postman, yes, exactly. Apart from that, there are then the trolleys. In fact, recently the president of the Chamber of Commerce mentioned them. And she said, listen, why actually do we need waiters in restaurants? We can have these autonomous trolleys that actually get you the food to the table and take it back. So it's a very exciting period, and I think we'll see a lot of new developments.
I think, if I may add also, in transportation in general, on land-based transportation, artificial intelligence can also play an important role in traffic management itself on the ground. For example, intelligent lighting, where you have the traffic lights are linked to each other, and it's not even to the level of AI, but where you would have people who would have crossed the street and the lights are still on red for the traffic. There's no one left, and they just switch over. Or knowing that there are areas which are closed and automatically put up barriers which would prevent other cars from entering and divert traffic into another direction. So all this is also AI. It's not in the vehicle, but it's on the road, which is obviously very, very important.
It's true, and actually it goes even further, because one of the things which we can do today, and I actually had a student, is to actually optimize the road network. Mm-hmm. So the AI would have an overview of what's happening all over Malta, and it can calculate the best routes for individual cars. Now,
based on the traffic flows and everything.
Exactly, it takes everything into consideration, which of course a person cannot do. Okay, and then what happened is that the new cars that are being developed are called connected vehicles. So they would be connected to the centralized control of Transport Malta or any other authority, and they get live information about what's happening in the network, so that they can actually spread the different cars across the network and ensure that there is no clogging.
So that can be a potential solution for traffic as well.
Indeed, yes.
And finally, just to wrap this up, are there any key areas of connectivity in Malta, be it regions or lack of connectivity between two modes of transport, that still need to be developed in Malta?
Yes, there's a lot that can still be developed, for sure. There are still some areas where, for example, let's take it from a public transport point of view, where the frequency of service might not be that efficient yet. Or, for example, the route would be too long, so it can take a little bit too long to get to a final destination. There's a fine balance between, for example, the number of times that a person wants to interchange, for example, or the number of modes of transport that a person wants to take, and how much time they are willing to gain by all that interchanging, that type of balance. But yes, there is other things that can be done, for sure. For example, because it's very thematic at the moment on sea transport, I strongly believe that the sea is very underutilized at the moment, and there are many other places that can be linked by sea. For example, Melliħa, Slema, Xajra, Birzebuġa, Marsalforn, all these are areas which can be linked by sea, and alleviating all the pressure that there is currently on the streets.
If I can maybe share a dream which I have on this context, I think we should move away from, I call it the car god, that we have this dependency on cars. And one of the things I would really love to see, especially because tomorrow is World Environment Day as well, is that the city centers are given back to the people. And of course, we use alternate means of transport, like the scooters or whatever. But we remove the cars from the city centers, create pedestrianized area where people can have fun and enjoy their cities, their localities, and of course, reduce pollution, improve their quality of life and everything.
Mm-hmm. I think, especially like you mentioned, it's World Environment Day tomorrow. I think it's very important that these kind of solutions are being discussed, like not just, we need to protect the environment, but like that's true, but what can we actually do, and what technologies are present as well. Also, I think the issue of sea transport is crucial. Malta as an island, it's a perfect resource, right? I don't see why it's not being used enough. And in fact, it seems to be going in that direction, right? We're seeing the fast ferries, we're seeing other pontoons popping up, so hopefully we're going in that direction. That's it for us from today. Thank you for following Lovin Daily. Make sure you Follow lovinmalta.com for all the latest developments on the country, and until we meet again, have a day full of loving.